Now I'm standing in front of the Barger house, which was built in 1859, moved to Hart Square in 1987. This is the only cabin that I've got that actually is on the tax record of Hickory. It was located on 4th Street, probably no more than about eight or 9 blocks from my present residence. Simon Barger was born in this cabin in 1909. His father, Joseph, was born in 1869 in this house. Lisa Keever, a great-great-grandchild, donated the cabin to Hart Square. Ironically, it was donated to the Landmark Society, and they were busy building and restoring another cabin at the time. So she had the property up for commercial sale and did not want to wait until they had time to move it. As we look at the cabin, it has some of the longest logs in the village, measuring 30 feet. A great history was obtained from Guy Barger, whose grandfather was Simon II. There's some great stories about moving this cabin. Harold Starnes in his 80s and myself moved this cabin, and while moving it, we were using the old dump truck, which has about 3-foot sides, and I could only haul so much, and it was good 30-45 minute drive to the Burke County dump. So once we got down to some subflooring and had some plywood, Harold said, let's use the plywood and you can haul 3 times as much. So we roped the plywood, took it down, and at the time we didn't realize that the siding that was on it, there were 3 pieces of siding with it. One was asbestos, which we weren't aware of. The second was vertical boards, and then a black tar paper before we got to the logs. But remember, this house had been lived in up until a year or 2 before we moved it. So we went in with chainsaws and mattocks and cut out bathroom fixtures and boards and closets with multiple nails, and I had taken the first load to the dump. The second load we tied up real tight with ropes, and about halfway there, and I didn't realize the back piece of plywood had fallen off. And right before I got to the dump, blue light and a siren pulled me over. The guy got now. Think about what I look like after I take a cabin down. I'm black. I mean, I'm just covered with dirt and soot, and jumped up on the side of the dump truck and got in my face and said, "Fella, you've got boards and nails scattered all the way back to Hickory." As one of my patients, he said, "Doc, what you doing driving this dump truck?" Well, I went ahead and dumped it off, and you know, it's hard to drive and put stuff back on your dump truck, and I would throw a few to the side ditch and a few to the dump truck, and where the main part of the wood that's fallen off with the nails was in the middle of the road, and it was waist high, making cars go all the way off the pavement to get around it. And it was by this little brick house, and a lady came out in an apron and said, "Did all these fall off the dump truck?" I said, "No, ma'am, I'm trying to keep people from running over these nails." And she said, "God ought to bless you. Ought to be more people in the world like you today." Well, I got them all up. I went back. We loaded it up again. This time we tied it on real tight. And I got up, cranked up the dump truck, and Harold said, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to the dump." He said, "No." He said, "You kind of lied to that lady a little bit, and God got you back." I said, "What do you mean God got me back?" Pointed to my inside dump truck tire. I'd run over one of my own nails. $180, aching and black to come out and change it, and a delay of about an hour and a half. So, but anyway, that's pretty much the history of this particular cabin. As we enter the Barger weaving house, just inside the door to the right is a great South Carolina green and red grain painted pie safe. It also has a collection of early windmill canisters used for storage of sugar, coffee, oil, vinegar, and other spices. On the right is a complete set of cobbler's tools, a tote, a metal shoe lace, and a leather vise. In the back corner by the window is a great early dovetail meal chest. Around the fireplace we have the typical pots, pans, griddle, waffle iron, all used for open hearth cooking. There's a variety of herbs hanging from the ceiling. In front of the fireplace is an early table, fully set with an early, probably late 1700s chandelier. There's a good early chair, beautiful tall slender butter churn. In the corner you'll note a real early open type corner cupboard with H-hill hinges. This helps date it to the late 1700s. Inside you'll see several pieces of salt glazed pottery, candles, and tin type pictures. On the back wall is a settle bench. It actually opens up and its inside could have been used for storage, but in this case there's a straw tick with blankets which opens up and could accompany several children sleeping there when they came to visit the grandmother. Just past the back door is a small table with a candle box. Some knitting needles and socks have been started, and a large Catawba Valley jug resides beside it. In front of the bed, one of the prettiest jelly cupboards that I've ever found. It's early buttermilk blue paint. On it is an early wall clock. In the middle of the room is a round table with a great small tapestry frame. There's a small rope bed, a bedside table with pitcher and water bowl. At the window, several flax wheels with distaffs. Actually, the distaffs we use to store the flax. In the window, you'll see several distaffs of different styles without any flax. As you come up the steps, at the top you'll see a large loom, which is a 6-treadle or 4-heddle loom. On the staircase, you'll see a number of coverlets that were made on this particular loom. You see a loom chair, loom bench, both a little taller than a usual chair, making it easier to work on the loom. On the wall by the window you see a warping frame that is stationary. In the middle of the room you'll see a warping reel that actually turns. There are several different types of yarn winders, mostly on the front wall. Also you see a couple of different scarns. On the scarn you'll see corn cobs as a bobbin for winding the yarn. On the back wall are pegs and examples of dyed wools and yarn. On the back wall you'll see a squirrel cage that was used to wind yarn. On the tables are a number of examples of things that we use and equipment in the process of weaving.